Hey, good Friday, everyone. Just making sure I had the right buttons here. Welcome to Friday and welcome to the day before the weekend. All right, we are going to look at the second part of this lesson, and these are the really important terms for us to know. Okay, maybe. All right, here we go. All right, the important types of molecules in cells. Okay. Organisms need certain types of molecules to grow and to repair the cells and for other processes. It's struggling today. All right. Nutrients in our cells. So nutrition that we get from food, and to survive, we need what's called lipids. And we've looked at some of these on IXL maybe. Lipids, proteins, what's called nucleic acids, and carbohydrates for energy. All right, so our first word and definition we need to know is that a lipid is a fat molecule, yes, fat like you think of it, or a molecule that has similar properties. And here are foods that have a lot of lipids in them, all kinds of nuts, some fatty fish like salmon, cheese, eggs, all of those are high in fat or high in lipids. Okay, the primary job or function of the lipid is to store energy for us to use later, or for our cells to use later, would be better said. Oh, a nice big old steak. Okay, so our next word is a protein. And a protein is a molecule made up of smaller things called amino acids. And I know that's a funny term, but that's what they're made of. Okay. And proteins, are specifically amino acids, build and repair our body structures. So, for instance, like an athlete after a big game or a marathon runner, okay, they need to build, football player after a game, you need to build your cells back up. Okay, so proteins do that. And it also helps regulate body processes, all the things that our bodies do normally. All right, and you'll be seeing this question a lot this lesson. Amino acids are called the building blocks of proteins. Okay, then carbs. Some of us talked about that if you're an in-class student on Thursday. Carbs are the molecules that include sugars and starches, again, potatoes and pasta are starches, and fiber. And fiber helps us eliminate solid waste, we'll put it that way, that cells use as a source of energy and energy storage. All right. Then again, there's simple sugars, and this is in the IXL, and then there's complex carbs. And the complex carbs are made of many sugar molecules linked together. So there's the pasta, breads, flour, anything like that has a ton of carbs. All right, then the last thing we need in this grouping, the last grouping of the molecules, is what's called nucleic acids. And they carry information throughout the cell from the nucleus. Okay? And they are made up of even smaller molecules called nucleotides. And one of those is the very common or very popular DNA. Okay? And your DNA contains the information that cells need to make other molecules, such as the proteins. All right, this is super duper califragilistic important. Actually, there's even a question on your daily assessment today. All right, lipids. What do lipids do? What is their job? They store the energy. Okay, proteins build and repair the body structures and regulate things that the cell does daily. Carbs also store, but they release energy. That's how the cells and then consequently the organism get energy. And then again, the nucleic acids carry information for cell processes. All right, there's one more term that we need to know, and that's called phospholipids. Okay, and they're important because of the cell membrane around the cell. We talked about that last lesson. The outer covering is the cell membrane. Okay. And again, in review, it protects what comes in and out of the cell. Okay. So a lipid that has an element called phosphorus and makes up most of the cell membrane is what's called a phospholipid. Phospholipid. Okay. And it just is able to absorb water and repel it. So we're just going to go through all this. All right. We do care why water is important. Okay. So most of the processes or things that happen in the cell need water. Okay. And 2/3 of the mass, remember we know that word, it's not weight, but sort of weight, of the cell is water. Okay. And as water is constantly going in and out of the cell membrane, and that is called osmosis. Osmosis. Okay. And the cell membrane knows how much water the cell needs, and it's kind of in charge or responsible for that. All right. So here we have a cell in 3 different states. The first one is it has lost too much water. What could ultimately happen there is that the cell could shrivel up and then ultimately die. Okay. Then we have just the right amount. Okay. Then if there's too much, the cell could actually burst. Okay. So it's real important, kind of Goldilocks here, that you get it just right. All right. Let's look at this example. It's a great example. Back pre-COVID, when people could attend games, okay, you would have to, if you've ever been to any large sporting event like Bengals, Browns, whatever, Indians, Reds, Ohio State, obviously you have to go through ticket gates. Well, how does that work similarly to a cell membrane? Okay, how do these gates work like a cell membrane? Well, the gates control how many people enter and exit, and a cell membrane does the same thing with water. All right, we're going to stop there for today. As always, you have like 5 or 6 questions. Make sure those are completed by Monday, and have a great weekend.